So good morning, not afternoon, wow. Good morning, everybody. We will go ahead and call this meeting to order at 10:05. My apologies for the delay in starting, as there were some technical difficulties. But first, there will be, let me see, we'll be doing roll call for people on the subcommittee. So LaDanne, I'm sorry, I'm going to say your last name. Aquarius. Here. Jay Bell. Here. All right. So, Charlene O'Keefe. Here. Renee Ricketts. Here. And Felicia Shaw. Here. Thank you. We're all here. Next will be public comments. Let me check. Anybody? Seeing none, we're going to move on to the next item, first discussion item, and it's the selection of the subcommittee chair. So I will turn the table over to you. Well, first, let me check to see if there's any public comment on this item, selection of the subcommittee chair. Seeing none, I will open up for discussion if anybody wants.
Just a question. This is an ad hoc?
Yes.
Yeah.
When our work is done, our work is done.
Yes.
And we don't have any plans to go beyond this meeting or just as needed until our work is done?
The meeting, what was decided and voted on was that the subcommittee would dissolve upon adoption of the bylaws. So whenever the board adopts the bylaws, this committee would officially dissolve unless the commission decides to continue on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Jay, I want to nominate you because I think you've been really paying attention to everything, and you would be great. And you would be great as the chair of this subcommittee that will go away when the work is done.
I appreciate that. I'm happy to do it. I will not be at the June 22nd meeting.
Oh, okay.
So I propose to be co-chair. I'll work our way through this meeting, and then if you could help.
With that, I would be happy. You didn't call for a co-chair, did you?
But if you guys decide to do a co-chair, yeah.
Okay, we'll co-chair and because he can't be the next one.
Okay.
Okay, I second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
I vote for Jay.
You voted for me. Any opposed? Seeing none. All right, the co-chairs will be Jay Bell and Felicia Shaw. So we're going to go ahead and go to the next item, which is amendments to bylaws and possibly ordinance, depending on what you said. I'm going to share it on here, and I noticed our screen in the room is died again, so let me try to get somebody to come in to help us with that while it gets going. But hopefully you all have copies of the draft bylaws that I sent out, so I will leave it open to discussion.
Public comment?
Oh, sorry, thank you. I was reminded we need to see if there's any public comment. Seeing none, back to you.
All right, shall we?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a question just out the gate about what we are allowed to amend of this set of draft bylaws, which includes
So that, what you're holding up is the ordinance. You can technically amend anything, and then staff will figure out the fun, boring administrative stuff to get it through the board. The bylaws will require, regardless, they will both require a board letter and approval by the Board of Supervisors.
Right.
The ordinance will require 2 meetings and will not go into effect until the second meeting, 30 days after the second meeting.
Okay.
So if the board likes your proposed amendment, great. If the board does not like your proposed amendment,
They'll send it back.
not so great.
Not so great.
Yeah. So in terms of organizing the conversation, I mean, I think we should start with, broad ideas. Let's start with what we want the bylaws to be, and then, like I said, staff can then figure out if we're in compliance with the article or not. We can make adjustments based on that, I think, at the next meeting, right? Does that sound like a decent process to you right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you know, just to back up on the conversation and recap what we discussed at the last commission meeting, you know, we took a preliminary review of the draft bylaws and started kind of realizing that they needed to be expanded so we could reflect the true scope of this commission and also bring some broader definition on bigger goals and bigger objectives. Because the parts of the bylaws are somewhat didactic, very specific to some tasks, so we want to look at bigger goals. What was also provided by staff was some other county commission bylaws, which I think can be very helpful in terms of defining a few elements. So what I would propose is we start with Article 1, you know, kind of work our way through it, and I can share with you some of the research I've looked into in the other county commissions, and start working our way through it. I've tried to also incorporate some of the comments that came up at our last commission meeting, so we can make sure we include those as well. Anything general, I would say, before we get started in conversation?
I like your approach.
Okay.
Can we, one question?
Yes.
As we go through, I've kind of looked at what in the bylaws came from
The ordinance.
the ordinance.
Yeah.
And so can we just, when we're looking at amending certain portions, just start by acknowledging whether it's just in the bylaws or if it's also in the
Sure,
ordinance?
makes sense. And I think as I reviewed it, I think that we can capture everything from the ordinance and simply maybe expand. So let's keep that conversation alive as we go through it. So starting with Article 1, most of this is directly from the article. You know, most of it is from the article. When I look at Section B, this is essentially the mission.
It does read like a mission.
You know, this is essentially the mission,
This is what-
which, in looking at the other county bylaws, I do think that was, consistent. I do think we can expand upon this mission and, through further elements of the bylaws. But this is right out of the article, and I think gives us a good framework for getting started. I don't know if anyone thinks there's anything we need to add to that, it would be a question.
I think the key is to keep, I would say, not to make it, if we feel we need to add, then I would say doing something that would sort of envelope it, rather than make it longer and more
Right.
specific,
Okay.
coming from the same discussion we had last time. Because I think the mission, the easier it is to remember as well, you can keep coming back to it and saying, okay, everything we do, we always know, is it under our mission? And does it match what our overall mission is?
Makes a lot of sense. It's a pretty broad goal right here that's been laid out.
In your research and looking at some of the other bylaws, do they call out missions? I know in the bylaws I have for my organization, we call it out, we call it that. Do they, call out?
LA has a mission.
LA has a mission, Santa Barbara has a
Fulfill its mission
purpose.
of.
Santa Barbara has a purpose,
Yeah.
that's a bit more specific. LA has a mission, absolutely, but that.
Is it worth using that word to kind of
It's
make
more
it clear?
standard.
Yeah, I would say.
An entity has a mission, but I don't know if in county government, they feel like, well, there's only one mission, the county mission.
Sure.
And then everything else has a purpose.
Is
What
it a
is it?
mission to have a mission?
Or
Yeah.
it's its purpose, isn't it, the purpose of the commission is its reason to exist? Right, so if that's the case, then you could say the purpose of the commission is to fulfill its mission of promoting, and then the commission's mission is X, the reason why the commission exists is to fulfill its mission.
Oh,
So we
I
could
see.
keep the language of purpose,
Oh, I see
as a
what you're
reason to
saying.
exist, that's my understanding, but it's, please correct me.
I think that, I would just put section B, make it section A, and make section A, section B, so that the first thing that comes to your brain under purpose
What are you here to
is
do?
basically what we're here to do. Right.
That'd actually be consistent with the title of the article.
Right.
I
Yes, it
would
is.
love to pull it up to the top.
Yeah.
Pull it up to the top, that would be the thing.
The only thing I have about calling that the mission is that it's very wordy.
Oh, yeah, it's not a good mission.
It's not, it's,
Entire
It's the
thing
mission
or
and the
just
goal.
section B?
it's just section B as where, you know, it reads like a mission statement, but I don't think it's a,
It's too
It's
long.
well
it's a good,
Yeah.
thank you,
Yeah.
well crafted.
Yeah.
So, so that would be my only hesitancy in putting that as the mission, is then if we, you know, I don't know if we ever would want to have a catchy, if you
Yeah.
will, mission statement.
Better written.
I don't know necessarily if that would, you know, the Santa Barbara one's very specific. The purpose of the Arts Commission is to act as a coordinator and catalyst, bringing government, artists, and public together for the cultural benefit of all. I don't know if a mission statement, I mean, it'd be good to have it in the bylaws, but that's a, you know,
That's more of a mission.
that
It
is a
is.
mission. So
Maybe even remember that one.
I'm trying to think if it,
It could be more specific here, and then the mission could be catch, you know, like more, maybe more succinct. But I do like the idea of saying that the purpose of the commission is to, you know, maybe be more specific, but to use the word mission in there, you know, so that kind of then covers the fact that, you know, to fulfill its mission of blah, 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 you know, and I'm just thinking out loud, you know, I think it would be nice to see the word, you know, advocate, or to, you know, at something, because I see the role, our roles are also as, where we're promoting, we're also advocates for those who, for the arts, you know, the arts community.
I think we could add a mission.
I think we could just
Because-
go on and say it.
Yeah, I think we could add
I don't
a
think we have to
one-line
ease
mission.
into the
No.
purpose. I think we can go on and call it what it is. And I agree with you. Once we get agreement that this is our mission, this is what we're here to do, then we can go into the language and figure out what belongs in there so that everybody knows.
Would it be useful to just try to think about that
Yeah.
mission right now?
Yeah.
Because that helps us when we're trying to then fix section A. Because then, you know, we've got that, that's our anchor. You know, the mission, when you think of this commission, the mission of the commission, and then pulling from here, you know, there's so many ingredients in that sentence.
I think we could have section C be the mission statement, and then, you know, pull everything down from there. I don't think having a mission statement is in any way in conflict with
I
the
don't think
article.
so. I think we go on and go for it.
I can read the one from Santa Barbara again, since it was
Yeah,
so
could you?
succinct.
Yeah.
So, the purpose of the Arts Commission is to act as a coordinator and catalyst, bringing government, artists, and public together for the cultural benefit of all. So, I think we can start with, the mission of the Arts Commission is to, I think that's a good, and I don't know what the verb could be,
I hope you know what I'm writing.
sure. to act as a verb. Which I would, a good verb would be to start our mission statement.
I like the idea, again, of always going big, and I think about the overarching arts and culture sector, about what we do to sustain the health and vitality of this overarching sector. That, you know, at the end of the day, we wanted to live and thrive and function, be here for everyone. So starting with something really aspirational about sustaining the health and vitality of arts and artists locally, while making the arts accessible to all, something like that, but
Right.
just going really, really big.
Really big.
We're here to keep the arts alive.
And I would add, I would expand the art to arts and, art and
And
cultural
culture.
traditions, yeah, artistic traditions, because that, you know, if we just say art, it might, you know, leave out.
Mhm. If we said art and culture,
Yeah.
would that work?
I think what,
It has to be art. It's not art. Art is.
Yeah, it's
Art,
art is
yeah.
the thing, yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
There you go.
Arts and culture,
art,
and culture sector, maybe, or
Arts and culture. So let's go back to some of these
words.
verbs that you used. So it was
Sustain the health and vitality,
sustain, health, and vitality, sustain and promote. sustain health, vitality,
Mhm.
okay.
I think also something about, preserving heritage, something about preservation and heritage, because I think that's part of the arts as well,
Horticulture,
and culture.
for sure, culture.
So sustain, preserve,
Advocate.
advocate, what are some other, we'll come back to which ones we want to use, but what are some other verbs that we're thinking about?
Promote, did you have promote already?
Not yet, no.
Mhm.
Well, there's the collaborate, isn't it?
Connect.
There's a coordinate and catalyst.
Mhm.
So I think a big function to me is communicating, like how we get the
Yeah,
message
right.
out
Mhm.
to the art community. We might go with a better word, communicate.
And the word support is good because it implies money. We all want to make sure we get more of.
Yeah, true. It's a broad.
It could be anything,
Mhm.
resources and things like that.
Any other verbs?
I think they use connect, because I think with the government, the artists, the commission, there's a lot of sort of back and forth.
It's a good point. That is a liaison kind
Yeah.
of function, but, okay.
And sometimes you can get a very succinct mission statement, and then you can always resort to, and this is achieved by
Right.
doing these things, and that becomes kind of like,
Right.
this is the how.
Right, I mean, what I'm envisioning is the, our mission statement is, you know, the, Arts and Culture Commission,
Mhm.
couple verbs.
Couple verbs, and
So,
then,
you know, I'm
and
just
then dropping down.
gonna pick three, right, you know, promote, advocate, and support the health and vitality
Yeah.
of the
Arts
And
Art-
preservation.
art, so I'm getting to the verbs, whatever, we'll pick a couple, right?
Right.
So the preservation.
No,
of-
I see that
yeah.
not as a verb, I
Oh.
see it as health, vitality, and preservation.
Gotcha.
You know,
Health,
because
vitality.
what are we doing? We're promoting, we're advocating, we're supporting, promoting, and advocating. So one is where support that they need. One,
Right.
advocacy is helping with, the communication, advocacy, we're helping connect, so,
Yeah.
you know, that, and promoting is, you know, that sort of takes that to the next step, and then health, vitality, which is energizing the city, inspiring the city.
County.
County.
County, and the preservation, because we want to have an impact. We want to help this community, you know, to have the arts and culture have a long-lasting impact.
Right, okay, so we've got, the mission of the Arts Commission is to verb, the health, vitality, and tradition of arts and culture in San Diego County. So our potential verbs, we ought to.
Because we throw a diverse in there too, the diverse traditions, arts and traditions.
The health, vitality,
We can always shorten
and
it.
diverse traditions, that's actually great, traditions as a plural is a great one, okay. So verbs, we have sustain, we already covered preserve, well, actually sustain, I think is covered in here, so the,
The reason I like, sustain is, it almost sounds like you know you already have something.
good point,
It's not like we gotta go get it for the first time.
Yeah.
We have these things and we wanna keep them going,
gotcha.
right?
Yeah, that captures a lot
Mm-hmm.
too. So, sustain, advocate for,
What are we
partnership
sustaining though?
for the health, vitality.
No, we're not
Health,
getting started.
vitality, and
We're
diversity.
sustaining the health,
And kind of writing
vitality,
it up.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
She's kind of writing it up
Yeah.
on
Oh, you
there,
already heard
which
it.
is helpful.
I don't see it.
In red.
Sustain,
In red.
advocate
Oh,
for, and,
It's helping me.
Doesn't you need bigger, just let me know.
That would be good. Yeah.
could you say, to sustain the health and vitality of arts and culture community by promoting, connecting, and something, could you do it like that?
I think you should always leave room to grow bigger. So sustain, I like sustain, and then also,
Grow. We need
you know,
something, we need
something,
something.
so like,
sustain and grow.
listen, we're
Develop,
You
develop,
develop.
yeah,
so sustain and develop,
Yeah, we can
or
say
sustain
sustainable.
and promote.
promote, I think promote is, maybe advocacy can come in a different sentence, you know, because promoting will kind of cover that, like through
I think
through
advocacy becomes one of those action things
Yeah.
that happens among others, because I think there's gonna be a lot of things that we're gonna do to sustain. We're gonna advocate, we're going to, you know, find funding and all that kind
So
of
I
stuff.
think that, but that would be like, you know, the purpose
Well-
of the commission is to through,
By, or,
through, so then there would be like, you know, 2, 3 things there, like, and I think advocacy would be nice, because advocacy covers promotion, it covers, you know,
I think that's in the purpose.
I
And
think
then
so
in the, I think the purpose covers the details
Right.
for us.
right?
yeah. I
And then
think
it will
so.
also come up
Mission should
again in the
Very
member.
And very
Yeah.
aspirational.
So sustain and develop, sustain and
Promote.
promote,
Mhm.
sustain and expand,
Mhm.
sustain and,
Promote,
promote,
I like
support.
I like support more than
Oh.
promote,
We could have support,
Yeah, true.
because promote, like
It's like marketing.
promotions, especially in the arts, that has such a marketing,
It's a trigger.
commercial aspect to it.
Yeah.
That it's, not that that's all that happens with promoting, but that,
Mhm.
I like supporting
I like
better,
support.
because
yeah.
that can include promotion.
It could include a lot.
It's broader.
Advocate, sustain, advocate, and support.
Why don't we
Connect.
remove advocate for now, just go to,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
sustain and
I
support
think
the
I agree.
Sustain and
deliberation.
support,
Oh,
Exactly.
sustain and support.
yeah,
Sustain
and
and
get rid of
support.
advocate
Let's
for
do-
and
yeah.
connect.
Sustain, support, and,
Sustain and support.
Let's just leave it at that for now.
well, we do need to connect.
But that's a way of supporting.
Yeah, and that comes up, that
No,
comes
but
up.
I see that as a bigger, I see that, like, I always saw, even coming onto this commission, as, this seems like we really want to connect communities to the arts and arts to the community.
I think it's covered in the purpose. Build public awareness to
Support
value
and
and
sustain
benefits of
people
art and
first.
culture diversity.
Don't you support before
Support
you
and
sustain?
I like that.
Yeah, I think,
Are you growing,
But I
sustain?
was going in the
Right.
direction, yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
Can you reverse support and sustain, so it would be to support and sustain the health?
I like that. Mhm.
I would love, I personally, I mean, I still want to kind of advocate for this, to sustain, to support, sustain, and connect. I see why that doesn't work because of health vitality, so, because I was seeing what would come after that when I think that is to support, sustain, and
So we
connect the
agree
arts.
that maybe connecting is also one of those action steps we take, like
I'd
advocating.
love to see that spelled out in the mission though, so that when you read the mission, you know that one of the biggest things it's doing is building bridges. But if others don't agree, then that's a different issue.
I agree with you that building bridges is important, but advocacy is too, and, you know, partnering with others. It just seems that we go big, and I won't die on this, because we want to put connect in there. It's certainly a really important function, I think. But if you go big and you just talk about the overarching, at the end of the day, if our community is thriving, and if the cultural resources and assets that we have are still here 100 years from now, I'll be really happy. And that it's still happening. And then how do we do that? We obviously have to advocate for policy, you know, that helps things sustain. We have to have money, and we have to plan ahead, and, you know, we have to promote and connect.
Yeah, and I do, just building on that, when I look at the purpose statement, if you will, up here, that to me feels like a really great way, a really great place to include something on connecting
Yeah,
communities or connecting sectors, you know, government and art.
It's a
and that sort of
how.
thing. Which I don't really see in there, other than the cultural policy, kind of. So I do think that that would be a great addition to that purpose statement, because it is very important, and I do believe that it's one of the purposes of the commission.
It's how our mission is achieved, correct?
Exactly,
That's how it's
We
done.
could even move, if we move mission before purpose,
Yes,
but then maybe the first thing in the purpose is what you're saying.
Right.
I
The
love
purpose
that.
of the commission is to, and start with
It's to,
connect, you know, whatever that, we
Mhm.
can make it
I
the
like-
number one priority in the purpose.
I like greater cultural equity, access, and inclusion as number one.
more greater cultural.
Yeah, because the connecting home aspect. To be honest, because we haven't gotten to the end of the sentence, connect doesn't work with health vitality, so I
Right.
would not want it before that anyway. So
Mhm.
And if
I
you
think
guys
I
have a
will
better
reserve
read-in,
my
then health vitality.
flag.
You know,
You don't have to have that.
Yeah,
I take my flag back into
That's
my
my
pocket.
pocket.
Yeah. I'm parking it, I just like to park it
Absolutely.
and continue, because we still haven't had the word art, and
Right.
and I saw tradition, and culture, yeah, so let's
Okay.
go to the end, and then
Okay.
we can see what's
Right.
missing.
So the end of this can be, the arts and culture in San Diego County.
What if we brought the agency of people into this mission statement? So because ultimately, the idea is that we're all, in a bigger picture, not what we say in the mission statement, but we're celebrating the people of San Diego County and their, what is produced, you know, through the art of artists in that community, of different communities, you know, so it comes to, ultimately, we're supporting people and their art and their artistic traditions, you know, their art and their traditions. So,
What I would propose is, we're just coming up with a draft of this for approval by the commission as a whole. And maybe as we go through the entire bylaws, you can keep looking for opportunities to insert that. Because the bylaws are very brief,
yeah.
so they're gonna be a fair amount of opportunity either to put it in or to put it in.
It's just that here, I would not describe, you know, the health of arts and culture, you know, or the I would see it more as like I feel like I want to see the human.
What would you propose?
The commission of the commission is to the board and sustain the health, vitality, and diverse traditions of San Diego County.
artists and arts organizations, is that what you want to
Yeah,
do?
or something.
I think
it's
that's
an
where
arts
I
and
was
culture. It's,
artists,
right,
cultural
artists and,
practitioners,
Artists and yeah,
right, and organizations. I mean, you could get specific,
well, yeah.
but I like to go, yes, I shouldn't say yes, but yes, and, I like to always think of all of it in a mission statement. Because the moment you start calling out different
no, so
things,
that's, yeah.
then you become.
But then you can say,
specific.
just even by saying San Diego County, if you say that, then it implies the people to me, and the art,
Oh, we
and the.
haven't
Or
gotten
you
to
can
that.
say the arts and culture community.
That's where I think.
That's where I was talking about, just
Arts and
going,
culture community,
or
period.
sector, or
In San
creative
Diego.
sector, you could get really kind of,
Well, or you
Pull
could
in
say,
sectors,
you could
yeah.
it's just a matter of, just, you know, health, vitality, diverse traditions of San Diego County's arts and culture community, you know, or
Right.
what did you just,
Community.
can we just put that in for now as a placeholder?
Oh,
Yeah.
I have a placeholder, I think community.
Then can you figure that out?
I think-
San Diego County's arts and culture community.
Yes.
and that diverse tradition seems clunky to me in the language, it seems clunky. Because when you talk about sustaining the health, vitality, and diverse traditions, it seems like we're sustaining the health and vitality of the arts and culture community throughout San Diego County.
Could we change it
By
to
definition,
diversity?
it's diverse.
It is,
Right.
it's redundant,
But
it's
it's not by
necessary.
definition diverse, and that's my issue, is that it's, I think what
If you're talking about all,
Culture
who else
is
is there?
diversity.
Not necessarily, if it's not treated that way. You know, if you have to preserve, if you have to fight every single day, you have to pronounce your name to people, if you have to, bring out, you know, it is something that we spend a lifetime trying to get recognized. And diversity recognizes that from the get-go. If it was implied, we wouldn't have all the issues that we have now. So sometimes we have to maybe emphasize it. If it's clunky, we have to find another way to make it unclunky. But I feel like.
It's just diversity instead of diverse tradition.
That's what I like.
Yeah, the diversity.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Perfect.
And
Yeah.
did
Arts
we
and culture.
decide to say the diversity of San Diego counties, arts
Arts and culture
community.
Yeah.
communities?
San Diego County's arts and culture
Peace,
community.
peace,
Plural.
exactly.
Yeah, make communities plural.
And now you got a flow. Now you have a flow.
County,
So-
and then apostrophe S, county.
You know, I struggle with the word health.
Oh,
I don't equate that. Is there a better, we're talking arts and culture,
How
is
about
there a better
vibrancy
word
or,
for health?
I love vitality because it.
I love it.
So what are we trying to get at?
What
with
about
health?
growth?
Well, yeah, we're talking about,
Well-being, we're trying to
Yes,
say that
right,
everybody's
right.
cool, everybody's good, right? Can we put that in there? The growth and, I love the word growth, because it implies getting more of.
yes,
Right.
exactly, right.
Growth and
Okay.
vitality.
The growth, vitality, and diversity of San Diego County.
But do you want to go diversity of arts and culture communities in San Diego County?
I
Or
like
do
the
we
idea of like San Diego County, like, because this is San Diego.
I want San Diego in it, I'm just not sure if we should go in the middle or at the end.
Just saying the growth, vitality. Are we here to promote, to sustain the diversity? We don't have anything to do with that.
No, but
No,
we're
we-
supporting
Yeah.
the.
We don't, no,
It's
we
all-
can't make diversity happen. It's here. We want to make sure that the diverse community is
That's right.
sustained.
Yeah.
That is
And
right.
support it.
And supporting.
No, the diverse community is sustained.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't make it happen.
We don't create it, but we help support.
But see, the way it's worded now, it's saying that we're supporting the growth, vitality, and diversity. But we can't,
We do.
We're sustaining and supporting the
Sustaining it and,
diversity.
you know, helping to preserve it.
Now, could it be the growth and vitality of San Diego County's diverse
arts,
arts and
there
culture
you go.
communities?
That's what I would love. There you go.
Okay, that can work
That's
too.
clear.
That's clear.
Yeah.
Communities or
The
communities?
growth and vitality.
Communities.
Community.
I'm saying it for you.
I love it.
community.
And then the preservation of the diversity is implied in that, because it's already acknowledged. So,
That-
yeah, I'm
right.
happy with that.
That
And
we're
I think it's less,
elevating, yeah.
it's more 16.
Now read Santa Barbara's again. Ours is better, right?
Ours
Santa
is
Barbara.
I don't want to-
I know, and it's right, there's some grammatical.
And there's,
Issues
yeah,
there,
there's
too.
grammatical issues, they don't use the plural, and I actually think this is much more reflective of our purpose,
Right.
because throughout this document, they're speaking to diversity, throughout this document.
There you go.
They're speaking to it, so I'm good, if any, I don't, you know.
I think I could probably remember that.
Okay,
And
so one last thing, and it can go somewhere else. But, I guess it's implied. I was gonna say to support, sustain, and advocate for. But if that's coming later, we'll have used advocacy later, I'm happy with this.
Yeah, and I actually think the purpose, is how we achieve this, and then and it allows us just to keep this consistent with the article. In an ideal world, it might tweak that. I mean, we can expand any of these elements we want, but this is through it, what we do. And then further on, we'll come to the role of the members, and that'll give us a further opportunity to expand and define how we implement the mission. So I'm good with this, if everyone.
I've seen in submission statements tend to say, like, the mission is to do this, but it also kind of, and then the second part is through how it does it, and it's also short, so that the whole thing has, like, the first part, which is what it wants to do and how it does it. And the reason why I wonder if that might be worth having here is because right now when I read that, I think, how is one commission going to do that single-handedly, or maybe however many hands we have?
I think we do it through promoting greater cultural equity, access and inclusion.
So you don't,
Championing the arts,
Right.
shaping innovative and building public
Yeah.
awareness.
But that wouldn't be like if, when you think on stationery or on a website, like that part wouldn't be there.
If I may interject, it may help to frame the conversation that some commissions have a strategic plan and strategic planning sessions and things like that, where you would, here's your mission, here's your, the things you want to do in the next 5 years. I use 5 years,
That's a really
that's
good
usually how
point.
long they are. And then that's where those details are, to
Okay.
allow
All right.
flexibility.
I don't know if we could, I don't know if we know how yet to do,
Right,
build
so
a
this is
mission,
good for
because
now.
you've got to
Yeah,
do some more
yeah.
work.
Okay,
So-
so I think this is
Okay.
a great start.
That's a great
All right,
place forward.
so, I think if everybody's cool, we can move on from, that one question would be, is do we have the mission section A and the purpose section B? And keep them separate, so we
Right.
can have it clearly stated up
I
top?
think
I agree with
so.
that.
So we'll make that section B.
Maybe, are we moving on to section B now? Do we need to pause at any point to bring in, okay. Would it, if we're not crazy about promote, could that be where we use advocate for?
Well, I think
Well, it's in our ordinance.
Okay, never mind.
I think we, yeah, I
That's-
think we can expand on advocacy when we get to members'
So
roles.
we've added the word connect. Is that legitimately there in B or not?
I put it as a placeholder because you guys were mentioning
Yeah,
adding
well, when I look at that section, we're talking about, cultural equity, access, and inclusion. We're, championing the arts as essential. We're shaping innovative policy. We're building public awareness as a value, but we're not talking about the connecting of the different pieces, which is one thing that I did like in.
Right. Could we say, are we allowed to work with this sentence, or this, could we say, by investing in an interconnected, a vibrant, interconnected arts community?
I think if we expand, we're,
And that's.
staff will have to review this, but I think if we expand, we're okay. If we change,
Okay.
that's my understanding of it. So,
I like adding interconnected.
Yeah.
And then we have already now,
If we
Sorry.
began,
No, that's good.
Okay, sorry. I'm trying to have some consistency about including culture, arts and culture, because it's been pointed out to me out in the world when I've been talking to people, or rather listening to people, that they don't want culture put on the sidelines.
Absolutely not.
So every sentence that we're saying arts, I would like us to say
Community.
arts and culture and communities is probably what we would have to do too.
I would agree,
Okay.
yeah. I was gonna say, in section B, if we're having a conversation and the person's saying, what's your mission? And then we go to section B and we say, the mission is achieved by, or do we have to start that sentence with our purpose, or the purpose is to?
The purpose. And I think my thing is, we're not changing
The purpose,
the
Of
article,
the
we
commission.
expand.
okay,
I think
this is,
I think it's for clarity. I think it's useful.
is to fulfill,
Mission and then
fulfill the
purpose.
mission by promoting.
say that again?
Is to fulfill.
No, no, go back to what you
The
said.
purpose of the commission, right, there could be other words for this, but the purpose of the commission is to fulfill its mission by promoting, and then continue.
Yeah, that works.
Fulfill its mission.
Don't you love read out for all that redaction? Good for you for figuring it out.
I do think that, I absolutely,
You're using a word program, right?
Mhm.
I absolutely agree with what you're saying about arts and culture,
Mhm.
but I also look at how often we're talking about that we're talking about it in each section of this very long sentence.
And you wanted to have a short here?
It's-
So a way to do that would be to just call it the commission,
Yeah, or,
in each of those things.
or just
Rather than.
if we take out, I can't believe I'm saying take out arts and culture. No, that's not what I'm saying, but if we remove those words from each portion of the sentence and put it
Yeah,
At the top.
as a clarifier for the entire
paragraph.
paragraph?
Purpose and authority of the
Yeah, that would
commission,
work
is that
as
what you
well.
want to say? Like, under Article 1?
No, I'm saying if it was, either at the beginning or the end, where we then again say arts and culture communities.
Oh, and get it over with.
So we're saying it once, but then we're talking,
Okay.
And then we have. a lot
because
of
right
it.
now we have, so right, the way she's written it, we have arts and culture as essential, and then interconnected arts and culture communities.
Oh, I
And we're
see.
saying
That's
arts and
funky.
culture, arts and culture, arts and culture,
Yeah,
and it
that's the.
feels like there's a way to
Mhm.
not be so.
Yeah, there would, I agree. A few little things. Could we change the mission to its mission?
First line,
To fulfill
There you
its
go.
mission.
And then removing the before arts and culture on the next line. And then,
so there's a line through it. So
and then we remove A before vibrant.
You might be able to get rid of arts and culture in here.
Interconnected communities.
Yes, that's.
Should be innovative cultural policies, and building public awareness of the value and benefits of artistic.
I'm still struggling with, since we added mission, and now we have a purpose, I'm struggling with how the purpose is different from our mission, and what are we signaling to the person reading this when they get to purpose? We're trying to tell them that this, now we're into the how, right?
Yeah.
First we said, this is what we're here for, we're here to do, and now we're into
how to carry it out.
how we carry it out. And, although this document is called Purpose and Authority,
Right.
it seems to me that we want to begin in some kind of way by saying the commission's purpose and authority is achieved by, or something like that.
Well, can we add mission to Article 1, mission, purpose, and authority? At the top. Yeah, makes sense. We can't talk about something that's not listed.
Yeah, maybe that's where I'm stuck.
Yeah, I think that's.
And I want to call it out that we've added a section.
Yeah, it's there, in red.
Okay. And now, the.
Should we add a comma after purpose too?
That's kind of
Oh,
long.
you want to go.
Comma lover.
You want to go.
Oh, yeah, Oscar comma.
Oh, girl,
Oscar comma
you are-
lover.
I love it. I'm so old school.
I think our county council built none of them.
Really?
Let it go, let it go.
That's like you're calling it that.
Exactly.
I put them in and then they.
Five.
Big difference.
Access to what? By making the arts accessible to all? Does access?
Yeah.
Access just seems like it's dangling there, like access to,
I think at this point, that's the DEI lingo,
I know it
and
is.
we want, but I think when
Promoting
they think,
greater cultural access, cultural equity, access and inclusion, just access and inclusion. And that's all together, cultural equity, access and inclusion.
yeah.
Okay, and then, what's the next big chunk of things? And we do this by promoting, championing, can we just say advocating for?
Would you put it on the view, like the final view, so we can? This is, I find it useful. No markup, yeah. Okay, now I read it.
Do we have to say, because section B is about the purpose, do we have to have a clarifier of how we're going to carry out its mission? Isn't it,
I don't,
it's not, I don't know if it's necessary.
it seems,
Do we have to?
Why don't we just say the purpose?
Yeah, I think so too, especially because we're saying Article 1 is mission,
Mission.
purpose, and authority.
Yeah, let's
Exactly.
get
Section A
rid
is
of that.
mission,
It's too
Section B
wordy.
is purpose,
I think
What's
it's
the
too
word?
wordy.
legal authority.
The
So
purpose,
let's strike all that out. So the
Alright.
purpose of the commission is
should we say
To
achieve
promote.
by,
to promote.
or fulfill
Okay,
by?
Yeah.
back, so we could just undo the changes,
Yeah.
reject the changes.
Is fulfilled by? The
No.
purpose of the commission is fulfilled by,
Jump right into the verbs. We're promoting.
what, by promoting?
We're, I think we're right on championing, could be advocate.
I like the word advocate better.
I agree, champion is kind of not clear.
Plus, it's hard to.
Well, champions are advocates, so
Yeah,
either is fine.
and it's more of an arts word.
I want to go back.
Yeah.
I would say advocate for.
Is to promote greater cultural equity, access and inclusion, advocate for arts and culture as essential to daily life. I think we need a
I think there could
colon,
be a period or a comma there, yeah.
a colon behind daily life.
Invest in vibrant,
Invest, by,
vibrant life, period, comma.
period, semicolon.
Oh, semicolon, all
I'm
right.
trying to deal with the
Who does
syntax here.
semicolon?
Is to, because we're in the two now, to promote,
I'd like you to pull out my,
I know,
membership in my old class.
vibrant, interconnected communities. We're not gonna invest in the ones that aren't vibrant and interconnected, huh? Only the ones that are vibrant and interconnected. I mean, that's the way it reads.
Well, do we want to take out the comma after vibrant?
Yeah, because we want to connect ones that aren't connected,
All-
right?
all.
So, yeah.
So maybe
Get
invest
rid of
is not,
vibrant and interconnected.
I think
All.
so. Invest,
How about invest in and connect?
We only invest in
Vibrant.
vibrant communities.
that's what I said. We only- that's
No,
what I
no, no,
said.
that's not equity.
but what we're doing is we're investing in the communities to create, to have them
Yes,
become vibrant
That's
and
right.
interconnected.
That's right, you have to invest in the community.
Yeah.
We're
And
not-
we've already said vitality, so we, in a way, we bring that aspect out. So it could be invest in and connect arts. Oh, well, I guess the idea is we're investing, we invest in, invest in arts and culture community.
Invest in,
Arts and culture, in San Diego, in the county's arts and culture.
Let's move the investment aside for a minute, because it's clunky. Just go down to shape innovative cultural policy, which I love.
Yeah, I need to go back, but we don't invest.
Not yet.
We want
Not
to.
yet.
I know.
But invest,
We invest,
Invest.
we'll be investing time, and
Time.
hopefully.
It's not just money.
Lip
Yeah.
service at this point.
We can put you out.
attention is.
We'll put you out. You'll have to minute.
Hey, line one,
We need very
greater.
full.
Do we need greater? Kind
Where?
of just, the purpose of the
promote-
commission is to
Yes.
promote cultural equity.
Yes.
What's
Yes,
the
but we
use
don't
of
want to
greater?
deny that, we don't want to say something doesn't exist at
Grammarly
all.
would say,
Yeah,
take
just
that
say
word
in
out.
just in
But it's-
general,
yeah.
cultural equity, access,
Probably
and
right.
inclusion.
Advocate for arts and culture as essential to daily life.
That's good.
The idea of health and well-being, like that, arts and culture are essential to our
Health and well-being.
well-being, yeah.
Shape
And I
innovative
think
cultural policy.
Daily life doesn't
Well,
necessarily
that's
talk
from
about
the ordinance,
I guess,
Okay,
just for future.
which was kind of
I
stripped
want
out.
to talk about this idea of what we are doing now and what we want to do. We might not have a nickel to invest right now, but that doesn't say that we won't in the future.
Yeah.
And when we invest, we might be investing
Well,
intellectual capital, other
Right,
kinds
it's
of
not just
things.
money.
It's not just
we are
money.
tasked with raising
I
money.
What
like
if
that
we're,
word.
what if,
invest in creation of vibrant.
in creating, yeah,
In
that's what I was
creating.
gonna say, invest in creating vibrant, interconnected.
I love that.
Okay,
Yeah.
invest
And
in creating.
Vibrant, interconnected
There we go,
communities.
then that,
To shape
Ah.
innovative.
Telepathy is marginally effective.
I think it's almost there.
Yeah, I think we're almost there.
Shape innovative cultural policy and build public awareness of the value and benefits of arts and cultural, of,
I just think arts and
and
culture.
build awareness of the public value of the arts. How about that?
do we want to throw well-being in here anyway?
I think vibrant, interconnected communities.
Uh-huh. Is enough.
I mean, you can't be vibrant if you're not, right?
And build,
What is interconnected now doing for us in this
I mean,
statement?
because I could argue that arts and culture are not essential to daily life, but a healthy daily life, sure, you know, I mean, there's plenty of places and situations in which, you know, I'm stating the obvious, but.
I think we're pretty close. I mean, how about I read it out loud and we'll see if anything jumps out as, you know, too clunky.
But, there is one more thing that we don't call out, and I'm just thinking, education.
Yeah, it's not there.
Education and preservation,
It's
that
not
was
there.
what you had brought,
Yeah.
you remember the flag that you posted on the side?
Education is critical.
Well, okay,
I'm
when
you're pulling it back down. I'm pulling your flag down.
when we talk about education, like, having a well-rounded education that includes the arts, I always think that that is essential
Yeah,
to a healthy society.
arts education.
So if we're gonna promote cultural equity, access, and inclusion, shouldn't we also be talking about, how we promote, you know, an educated society, I mean, a society that's educated in the arts?
Maybe that should come somewhere before or around shaping innovative culture policy.
I think policy and arts education too, I think.
I
How
don't know,
about
I'm
under
just saying in
promote,
terms of order.
how about promote,
What about
or
vibrant?
educate,
That's
promote, for the beginning?
I think, for me, it feels more like it belongs with the advocating as essential to daily life, because that really is, I mean, for
education.
children,
That
that
is-
education is
mhm.
is
If we don't
daily
call it
life.
out, are we doing ourselves a disservice because we know that that's where our voice could really make a difference?
True.
Maybe it's essential to education, essential to well-being, education and well-being, and I know everything will first like lengthen things and then we can pare it down, but I think education and well-being.
Advocate for arts and culture through education.
Or arts
As
and
essential.
culture as essential to the well-being, and then if you put something about all ages, or all, then you're bringing in the children and the adults.
I think that's getting more specific. I think when we say communities, we start from 0 to 10.
Education in daily life, is that what you want to say? Is that what you want to say?
Get more specific.
Through, I'd say.
Advocate for arts and culture as essential.
Through,
Oh, I think it's essential to education. Our education should,
are we educating?
that is also, wouldn't that be through advocacy to promote, like, that, I think both are true.
So as it stands, is that what you're, think works best?
I'm just trying to figure out.
We could say to education in daily life and call it a day.
Right,
I have a request.
yeah.
Can we switch back to the view where changes are visible in red?
Oh, yeah,
Because I'm
sorry,
getting
yeah,
super
now
lost.
it's getting,
But then when we want to read it,
Yeah, then we can do it
look at
again.
this
Yeah.
view. Thank you.
I think that's okay. Are you comfortable saying essential to education versus arts education?
Advocate for arts and culture
Is there
as
a way
essential
to
to
say daily
education.
life where the well-being is implied? Is there another way to, I feel like I'm having trouble buying arts as essential to daily life. A
Why?
healthy daily life, but as essential, I would
You
say.
could say well-rounded maybe, or
Yeah,
something
well,
like
yeah,
that,
so
or-
that would be the
Can
well-rounded.
I ask why you're having trouble buying it? To
Yeah,
me,
because I think,
to me, it's like
Essential to daily
so
life.
essential to daily life.
Here, here.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
And not just because I'm an artist, but because art is everywhere.
Yeah.
And culture is everywhere. And without it,
where
I
you
have-
live, yes.
I have no daily life. No, I think anywhere. I've been in many parts of the world, and it's not necessarily systematized everywhere like it is here, but its existence is, I think, crucial, because I see it everywhere,
Yeah,
everywhere
and
I've been.
I guess I'm just,
Are you taking devil's advocate position over
No, I mean, I do, I think it's also a way to survive the most dire of circumstances.
Yeah.
But when I've talked to people who come out of those situations and have then produced art, you know, that comes out of it, then it's like, you go like number one, survival.
Ah,
And like
okay,
literally.
I see what you're saying.
So maybe
Okay.
I'm just going too literal, and maybe that's a different kind of devil's advocate.
No,
So I like the idea of
thinking-
having a well-rounded daily life.
I was thinking about that Maslow
Mhm.
thing, some of you might have had it studied.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And and I wasn't just now, I was thinking about it since our last meeting, and I had pushed art and culture
Into it.
right underneath food, housing, and
Yeah.
water.
Mhm.
Then that came up next,
And
and
you know,
then the rest.
even if you try to take it out, it comes up, and people are in the dark, when
It's
the
there.
Titanic was sinking.
That's what I'm
They
saying.
were still making music.
I think it's essential to an unhealthy life.
And also,
There's been plenty of times when people haven't had those
Yeah.
things and they're still
and
making
the
art.
other way to look at it is, if it's being interpreted the way I was
Right.
hearing
Yeah.
it, the other way to interpret it is, we are saying it is essential to daily life here in
Period.
San Diego County. And that's, you know, so we're operating under that assumption. So
That's-
that's, I'm
and
okay with that.
You know what you
Yeah.
just said, we're operating under the assumption, these are our, almost like our values,
Yeah,
you
Yeah.
know?
yeah.
And if since we are advocating for it, I mean, other commissions can
We assume it's.
prioritize
Yeah,
these
yeah,
things.
But we're
If
saying,
yeah.
we're not the ones
All right,
saying it's
I'm sorry.
essential.
I'm
then who will?
I'm
Well,
happy
I
with
think-
it now. I'm happy.
So we're keeping it as
Yeah, I'm
daily
okay
life?
with it, yeah. I needed to go through that process.
Okay, can we see it
Yeah,
now?
can we
Is
see
it
it?
okay,
And
can we see
maybe
it now?
let's-
Yeah, yeah.
Why
Okay, let's
don't
see.
we read through it,
Yeah.
and see if this works?
Want to do can we go back to the marijuana stuff? Yeah.
There we go.
The purpose of the commission is to promote cultural equity, access, and inclusion, advocate for arts and culture as essential to education and daily life, invest in creating vibrant, interconnected communities, shape innovative cultural policy, and build public awareness of the value and benefit of arts and cultural diversity.
I don't like that little
No.
thing, because we already brought up, cultural diversity.
Yeah,
Which
this
one?
doesn't sound right, arts and culture
It's
diversity.
the last, part of the sentence.
Just arts and
What
culture.
about if we just said, and build public awareness of the public value of the arts and culture?
What,
I
public
mean,
awareness
to build, and build awareness of the public.
value. Well, do you need public?
Yeah. So you're saying move public
Just remove it.
Well, just aware, and build
of
awareness.
the public value, okay, move that
What if
there.
we said
No.
aware,
The
I like
reason,
public
Awareness and value.
I got an idea, how about we get rid of public, but at the end we write in San Diego County.
okay,
Fine.
Yeah.
and build awareness of the value and benefits of arts and culture throughout San Diego County.
Throughout.
what
is
about,
good. I like
well, we've
throughout.
lost diverse, so I'm just pointing out that in this, we've got equity, access, inclusion, we've lost diversity. We have it in the section A in the mission. No, yeah, but we could also, instead of saying arts and cultural diversity, we could say build awareness of the value and benefits of,
Arts
of,
and culture,
Wait,
period,
uh,
throughout
this-
San Diego County.
no. But build awareness of the value and benefits of
The diverse,
the diverse artistic and,
diverse
Of the
art,
diverse.
diverse art and culture,
Of the diversity,
diverse arts and culture.
of the diversity of San Diego
The
County
diverse
Arts and
arts.
Culture region.
well, I think it's something like, you know, the value and benefits of supporting the diverse artistic and cultural traditions of the county. Because then it's like using a different way to,
But that's a major run-on sentence.
It's a major run-on sentence, and
can you shorten it with having that?
are we,
Get rid of that.
So do we need throughout, if
I would
we're
say raise
saying,
awareness.
if we're saying throughout, do we need throughout San Diego County? If we're saying, and build awareness of the value and benefits of
Diverse diverse artistic and cultural.
diverse arts and cultural traditions,
Of diverse arts, I would say
artistic and cultural traditions.
period.
and we don't
Okay.
need throughout San Diego
When we
County.
call out traditions, are we saying that contemporary work is not important?
Why would contemporary work not be tradition?
Why do we call it traditions then?
Because tradition.
One day contemporary
Tradition
work
is all
will be-
encompassing. If you don't, contemporary art is tradition. That is all, it's part of traditions that we build, that we preserve for the future. It's it's artistic traditions. Contemporary artists they operate within certain traditions. They operate within, artistic techniques, like, these are all, they're just traditions of craft, traditions of different types of artistic techniques. Traditions doesn't have to be, relegated to the past. And I think what happens is when we assume that, we bring down
Okay.
other traditions
Well, I
below
wasn't-
contemporary
I
art.
wasn't even putting it on a hierarchy or anything. I was just wondering where it came from, why that word is appearing.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it's needed. What do we really want to say? So if we're talking about purpose, we're saying we're promoting, we're investing,
Mm-hmm.
we're shaping, and now we're building.
Building awareness.
Building awareness.
So do we want to build awareness at this point, or is there a better, clearer
Raise
word?
awareness?
Or is it awareness? Are we promoting? What is,
Yeah, we
is
do
this
want
about,
to.
is this about the advocating moment here?
I think this is the visibility
Yeah,
moment here. I
yeah.
think this is where we're saying, we want everybody to know this. We want everyone to be aware of it, to,
So is building awareness the best way to say that?
I think,
We do
yeah.
have to have that
It's not terribly
somewhere.
strong.
I think
When
it's
you talk
not.
about,
I thought you said somewhat limited, because all we're building is awareness, we're not actually building the
Yeah.
whole
Mhm.
structure.
We could put this on a piece of paper.
but it's probably within our purview to do. I mean, of all the things that we could probably pull off, is
Right.
awareness
Raising
building.
Well, yeah,
What would you
I'm
suggest?
fine with
What
that.
would you like?
I said promote, but I'm not a fan
No,
of,
there was something else you said
Um,
besides.
well, so if you break it down again, it's promoting's already there. Promote, invest, shape,
Well,
and
that's
build.
key too.
Yeah.
You could
I
say
think raise awareness,
expand,
as I,
Fine.
we didn't already.
Expand
You could
awareness.
say Expand awareness, you could say,
it's
build an infrastructure that values the benefits. Either
That
of
gets
those
worded.
kind of get at it.
What about expand?
Expand, you could do.
I like
So then it's like whoever doesn't know about
I
it,
think
that's
expand.
that's great.
Expand
Could we
versus
try
build.
expand rather than
Expand
build?
awareness,
Yeah.
are we comfortable with
Of
expand
the value
awareness?
and benefits.
Yeah, we could do that.
Expand awareness.
The reason why I like tradition and having that somewhere instead of just art and culture is that I think of, I work in a museum with objects, with art, and I'm always thinking about what you see in front of you is the product, like the object itself. Its meaning is partly whatever intention whoever made it had. Sometimes that could be many people, sometimes we'll not know who that is. And whatever meaning the viewer takes from looking at that object, it's bringing all those things together. So I feel like traditions bring the context of the production of that art.
It
into
feels
the-
very objecty to me and less about people and cultural
In
workers.
fact, I think
and
it's all
the
about,
makers.
like, it's moving it away from just being objects.
I was just saying the word feels very
The word
object-focused.
traditions, you mean?
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
word?
it just
Yeah.
feels that way to me. I want to bring people into our work, and,
Can I answer this question for my child's school?
yeah, you should.
Expand awareness of,
Can we,
so, can we just like increase, expand, are we trying to increase these things?
I think increase is much,
Increase is better than expand.
I don't,
yeah,
and
increase instead
awareness,
of-
what's awareness?
awareness is knowing about something.
I know, but what if we,
Awareness
do we want to
of value
increase the
and
value
Can we
and
ask
benefits
for a
of diverse?
recess?
Do we want,
The person who really wants traditions needs to.
No, I
step
actually
out.
think now is a great time to take a break. So,
Good.
I would, make a motion that we take a 10-minute break and reconvene at 11:20.
A second.
Second.
Where's
All in favor?
No,
Yes. So, all right, the bathrooms,
They're right around the corner, right?
Is there a place to fill a water bottle?
Any of our water fountains All right, now you're, okay.
Cool. As a point of order, you know, it's about a little bit after 11. I don't know if anybody on the committee here has a hard stop in terms of a time
I
to
do
work to.
it at 12,
Okay,
a Rotary meeting.
okay. So we have a few options then. You know, we can end the meeting at 12 and then reconvene if we're not through everything. Does that kind of on the basis of consensus here? Okay.
If we reconvene on a Wednesday, that,
Well, I think what we
for
can
me,
do is.
Wednesday is at, you know.
Okay. I think what we can do is get to 12 and see how far along we are,
Okay.
and then schedule another meeting and.
This is the worst part.
It is
I think
actually-
It's the best part.
It's the best.
It's the best.
As far as
Best
the amount of
idea,
time.
right?
The best and worst.
Listen, I'm in
Yeah.
no rush to complete this task. This is the most important
This
document
is-
that we
yeah,
have. So,
and-
why don't we take another, you know, we can take another look at where we're at on the purpose. And then, you know, I think where we left the conversation off was the last sentence around, a few words. So we can take a look at that together.
I had an idea for that last phrase, beginning with expand. How about communicate the value and importance of arts and culture in all communities? Communicate the value and importance of arts and culture
I like getting
Turn it back to the
communicate.
red.
I do like it.
in all communities, or throughout San Diego County or something.
The
How
other-
can we say preserving the value, and communicate the value and importance of preserving all the arts and culture in all?
Could you say that again?
Say what you said, and then I know where to put it. Tell-
I said communicate the value and importance of arts and culture in all communities.
And so I would
Anytime
add
we add
preserving.
preserve, though, we also have to add
Preserve.
build or expand.
Why do we have to? Because that ultimately, we talked, everything before that was about building, expand, you know, or advocate, creating all that. And then at the very end, like when the world explodes, we just decide, it's like, what is the legacy, you know?
What are we keeping?
Our legacy is that we not only build, but that what we build has a legacy. It has an impact on a legacy. But we focus on the creation and the front end of it. I'm trying to think of the long term. So ultimately, I personally feel that preservation is.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I wonder, we've used communities twice now, why don't we just say in San Diego County?
In San Diego
In San
County.
Diego County.
That's fine for me.
That's fine for me too.
So I love getting preservation in there, but what we just did is now we're only communicating the value and importance of preserving the arts and not the arts themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what my suggestion before was to perhaps communicate the value and importance of artistic and cultural practices and traditions.
Or artistic expression.
Expression. So when we were talking about the
Yeah, I-
traditions
yeah, I
and
like
sort of the people feeling like that was restrictive, I thought incling the practices.
I love that. And it sounds very peaceful.
We need, you're exactly right, we do need something to talk,
Like that.
so artistic expression of residents of San Diego County,
Yeah.
something like that.
Expression, so artistic expression and
everybody's an artist.
traditions.
In some way.
So communicate the value and importance of artistic and cultural expression and tradition.
Oh,
Artistic expression.
Good.
stop there.
I love it.
Don't put it.
Artistic and cultural.
The thing I like too is you got artists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Finally, we got
Something we
to talk
don't
about
have
artists.
artists in this subject.
Charlene for the win.
Expression and.
Expression and tradition,
Period.
period.
I like it.
Is it period?
Yeah,
Okay.
get rid of the rest.
Okay, now read it
We
again.
need for clarity's sake.
The purpose of the commission is to promote cultural equity, access and inclusion, advocate for arts and culture as essential to education and daily life, invest in creating vibrant and interconnected communities, shape innovative cultural policy, and communicate the value and importance of artistic and cultural expressions and traditions.
Okay, we've lost diversity now, but we could just easily just throw it into the purpose, like equity.
Diverse,
There's
importance of diverse,
No, we could just say promote cultural diversity,
Artistic
equity, access, and
expression.
inclusion.
Singular. I don't think we need the S in expression.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could just add it onto the,
per,
yeah.
Expression.
That's where it works, that's where it works, diverse cultural. Good.
Why don't we just say cultural diversity?
Cultural
Because we
diversity.
don't, it's not diverse
Cultural-
access.
because you have cultural equity.
Diverse inclusion, diverse.
cultural.
Diverse,
Do you want to put promote diversity?
Just diversity,
and get rid of equity?
no, you keep, because diversity and equity are different things.
You want to promote diversity, cultural equity?
Promote
access,
cultural
and inclusion?
diversity, equity, access, and inclusion.
Oh, so not cultural equity, just equity.
Hold on.
Diversity,
that's
Hold on,
not
that, we
comma.
just changed.
yeah, that's what I want.
Cultural equity.
Cultural diversity, equity, access, and inclusion.
Comma.
I'm watching the fingers over here.
Thanks, you're doing great,
You're doing a great job.
Okay, that's way too much. I think we're losing it a bit.
Well, I think there's no difference in, add one word, it's no difference in putting it, I mean, there's a difference in placing it, saying culture of diverse cultural versus cultural diversity.
No, I'm just saying diversity, equity, access, and inclusion, it's just a lot.
There's a lot.
But it's not, but it's familiar language. It's just, I don't know.
I would be-
Is there anything there that's redundant?
No. Well, equity is different from diversity.
Yeah,
Yes, it
and
is.
we need it.
And we need it.
Access is different. And inclusion is, they're all very well defined, and we can spend time
Yeah.
defining them as a group, so we
All
know
right.
why we have them in those words in there. Okay.
I think we're there.
Are we there?
I would feel comfortable showing this to the full
Right.
commission and letting them tear it apart.
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about that, but I got you, I think, because we spent a fair amount of time
Okay.
getting this to this point. So, moving on, the, next part of this article, I believe that section D is redundant. It's not in the, article.
Right.
And this is one of those things that is just by definition a committee at the county.
Uh-huh.
So I would delete that entire section.
We cannot,
Yeah, I was gonna say-
this is part of,
No, it's not.
our board policy 74 says we have to have.
Yeah, you have to talk about,
Nonpartisan,
Can you
non-determined
explain why
lead.
we cannot delete sections D and E completely?
Right.
Because it is part of our board policy 74 that governs boards, commissions, and committees, says that our first article has to contain those
Two
sections.
clauses?
Correct.
Why is it called the advisory committee where nowhere else in the bylaws
Yeah, we're
is the term
commission.
Yeah, we
advisory
can,
committee?
Right,
that
that
we
can
can
be
change.
changed. It's in there
So
twice.
that's,
Yeah.
The commission is
Yeah.
a nonpartisan.
And then why, so that one, and then it says non-profit-making organization. We're not, I'm sorry, have that changed. We're not an organization. No, we're not.
You're saying we're not making money, is that the
Right.
intent of this?
Nonprofit.
We're nonprofit.
We
Doesn't
don't.
mean we can't make money.
All right.
That's my point.
We're not profit making.
But
Yeah.
we're not,
We
but we're
don't.
not an organization either. So can we
Body.
strike non-profit-making
Body,
organization?
I love body.
Okay.
And so we would be saying the commission is,
Mhm.
okay? And then in D, we'll say commission,
Yes.
Commissions are
Are
advisory.
advisory, yes.
Okay.
The
Those are the
commission
only
is
changes I
advisory.
had.
Yeah, that's all I have to that section.
I have a question about D, however. What is meant by it does not take part officially in, nor does it lend its influence to, nor does it officially lend its influence to any political issues? Is that what it's saying?
Yes,
Yeah,
so you
right.
as an individual may, you as a commission may not.
Cannot.
Right.
Okay, got it.
That's very clear to me.
And so it would be the commission, on D, second line, the commission is not empowered to.
Mhm.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Bam,
Membership
bada boom.
and term of office, Section A is directly from the article. I didn't see any exception to section A or B. In section C, we've already changed the gender-based language. In section D, one thing that came up in the meeting is item E regarding absence. And what I would propose, we're still figuring out our exact meeting schedule, beyond the next 3 months. What I would propose, and I don't know if this would be acceptable to the county, is we define the word absence, and we call it, absence shall be defined as non-attendance at a regularly scheduled meeting without 48 hours notice to commission staff.
So there are a couple points with that. First, the absence is from the ordinance. And so I don't think we get to define that unless this commission recommends changing the ordinance to add in the phrase excused absence. And the other thing is sometimes people are out with less than 48 hours, and excused absences, the commission can vote to excuse an absence. And so it could be done after the fact. So
Yeah.
something happens
any
in that
reason.
48-hour
Mhm.
period, you might want the latitude to be able to.
Okay. So can absences be excused based on a vote of the commission?
You would need to get a change to the ordinance to allow that.
Oh,
And you
Lord.
would need to make a recommendation for a change, that the board change the ordinance to allow that, but if they do, then yes.
So what I would propose is that we include this language in the draft document, allow staff the time to research whether or not other changes that we're making are going to make a change in the ordinance, we have to bring this forward anyway, and then we can evaluate at the full meeting whether or not we want, if this is the one thing that triggers a
Then
change in the
fine.
ordinance, we probably won't do it, but if there's multiple things, you might as well bring it forward at that
Would
time.
that be unexcused?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. The other question I had about this is, does this happen automatically when someone misses those meetings, or does that then trigger a vote of the commission or someone?
It would be an automatic.
Automatic.
And there's no chance of zooming into our meetings?
Yeah, we went over that.
Not
You were
really, not
asking.
yet, not yet.
Is it
There are a number of bills going through the legislature that would change the rules and might make them more workable. But if those changes are approved, then we'll be looking at implementing them.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's the
That
state
would help a lot.
legislature,
So-
so,
That would
yeah.
help a lot.
The other
And the
thing-
county is supporting efforts to facilitate participation, remote participation.
In light of
So,
everything.
Good.
Yeah.
The other thing about putting in the word unexcused absence is that we have nothing in here that defines what an excused absence would be,
Exactly.
or what the protocol for that
There
would be.
isn't an excuse to
What
I
I'm
don't think you
hearing
need,
is-
I don't know if you absolutely need one in the bylaws. You could put one in the bylaws, but I don't know that you need it.
I
You
like the
could get in a
flexibility.
rules of procedure,
Yeah, right.
you
I
like
can
the
put it in there, and
Yeah.
then you're
I get
allowed
what
to
you're
change
saying.
the rules
Yeah.
of procedure whenever
Without
you
going to
want.
the board.
I get what you're saying, and then it could be noted in the agenda, it could be noted in
Yeah.
the minutes
Mhm.
that so-and-so wasn't in attendance, and they got, yeah, I like that. Okay, so we can leave that. This next item, Article 3, I do think, is gonna require some build-out. So what,
Before you go
I'm
there,
sorry,
Jay,
please.
we just spent a lot of time talking about our purpose. Now, duties and responsibilities, does that go even more specific and more deep?
It
And
speaks to the individual instead of the group as a whole, and it's what's expected of each member,
oh, this is,
individual,
but it starts by saying the commission.
right?
I think that was lost on me
Rather than
totally,
commissioners,
that you
yeah.
thought that
That's a good
this
point.
was
That was
about,
less than it.
this says the commission, and I'm still up here
Yeah.
with us as a body.
It's a good
I didn't
point.
read it as me as an individual commissioner.
Well, I think that that's a very good point, and if we
I don't know why
take
we
that
need it.
tack, then we don't have any definition of what a member's responsibilities
Yeah.
are.
Okay,
So now what's interesting is,
I didn't read that as, because this, before we deleted the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, those were all sort of the specific tasks.
yeah,
From the
yeah.
ordinance.
So it's from the ordinance.
Yeah.
So that, to me, was getting one scoop deeper
Right.
of, in getting into the tasks.
Often it's called commissioner duties and responsibilities.
well, it's tough. This is right
Right.
out of the ordinance, and, I do think we could just expand on it in that way, and look at it as a group as a whole.
Are we, is he interpreting this right, that this section, duties and responsibilities, was meant to, these roles and responsibilities of commissioners, like you are to do this, you to come to meetings, and you to do this, and you know, is that what it was supposed to be?
Sorry, we're discussing.
Because, you know, in my,
Because
my
the
bylaw.
ordinance has the duties and responsibilities section.
Oh, it does, right.
You know, so the commission shall, and then there's A through G.
Yeah, so
Let's see.
So that's kind of where we wanted to go. Conduct hearings,
Yeah.
study and evaluate.
But I don't know.
But it's, but they're still talking about the commission as
They're
a
still
body.
talking about the
Commission
commission
body.
individuals, right?
Yeah.
Right.
This
We
is
can keep
so
that.
specific
Or
to
no?
tasks
Okay.
and,
Well, and I think
Right.
that's why at the last full meeting,
Mhm.
we had talked about, and I think they were Jay's really great, sort of headings of what we were trying to get at. So I think we took out some of the specificity, and we included the research, investigate, communicate, advocate, advise.
Right,
That's where we got that language.
right.
I mean, I'm cool to spend time on this if we're getting into, you know, what's our work plan for the year? But to your point, at some point, we're gonna have a strategic plan that's gonna inform what we do.
The A through G are the things that this commission is tasked with under the ordinance.
Oh,
And if we're, you know, and so if we are going to make substantial changes to them, getting rid of things, adding things, that might possibly be another thing that would require a change to the ordinance,
wow.
depending on what it is.
The current rewording, David and I have discussed, doesn't require a change to the
Right.
ordinance. It just kind of
But if
Cleans
you-
it up a little
cleans,
bit.
Yeah.
rewords it, but it
Yeah.
doesn't remove any of the duties and responsibilities that you guys have been
Well,
tasked
Maybe I
with.
could read through a few of the other county,
Uh,
requirement, county ideas that these groups have. So, okay, so in LA County, maybe you can see if we're duplicating anything that we have here.
I have it as well.
They recommend to the Board of one of the functions, recommend to the Board of Supervisors programs to support local artists and where appropriate, to supervise such projects and programs. Another one they have is assist the Board of Supervisor in coordinating county arts programs in collaboration with other government agencies. These are once again a lot bigger than what we're looking at. Another one out of Santa Barbara is attend and support art activities and programs throughout the county with a specific focus on grant recipients. Advocate on behalf of the use of public funds. Act in advisory capacity of the county board of supervisors in matters pertaining to arts policies and department and commission business. So I think the other county commissions have a lot broader goals than some of the specifics. Now, I do think we can include some of these specifics, not delete them, but include them in some broader goals. And as you spoke to, Charlene, I think when we started in the last meeting, it was an advisor, an advocate, and then, I don't know if it's a communicator or something kind of outward facing. The thing.
Liaising, maybe.
Liaising, I think we're missing the bigger advisory role in this.
Yeah.
And all of these should be advisory. When they said assisting, that's
Right.
That scared me, because it sounds like I'm doing some actual.
Right. So we could,
This is actual work.
we could structure this in an outline and move some of these items into that outline. That would be one way to do it. Kind of group
Again,
them
this
around
feels
similar
so
tasks.
work planning to me. Study and evaluate equity and access to the arts and culture in the region. That's a thing. That's a thing. It sounds like, if someone says, hey, I want you to study and evaluate equity, and you want me to conduct a research
Right.
study?
Yeah.
That's what that is.
So,
It's rather huge.
but here's the other thing too, is the way that I read it, it says the commission shall have the power and duty to. So if we have a topic that,
Want to.
if we want to,
Right.
so we have a topic that is before us, so we have the power to study and evaluate that
However we make it happen.
however we make it happen. And that was my feeling on reading this was A and B, we're studying and evaluating.
But we may
we're
not be
we're promoting, no, exactly. But C and D, conducting workshops and public hearings, those are another step deeper in this hierarchy
Very
of
specific.
specificity. So we may conduct a workshop, or we may
Host one.
do something different in order to get at these other things that we're trying to do. So those two felt a little bit more specific to me. They would be a sub-bullet on the, if we were creating it tabbed that way.
So should we have things like, we have the power and duty to research, meaning way up here, we have the power to go find out information. We have the power to, I think conducting public hearings is fine, way up there, to prepare and disseminate information. We could instruct you to send out something about something, right?
Yes.
Communications, research, advocacy, community engagement at the largest scale. And, we're not actually applying for funding, but we could.
It says we can.
It does say we will apply for, but they don't mean that we're gonna fill out the
We
application.
did put in language to address your concerns and said that you can delegate that authority to staff,
Right.
AKA me in my office. But you do have retainer authority to advise us and direct us on how to do it.
Yeah, so I do like breaking these down and taking out some of, because I feel like we captured a lot of the language, equity and access, again, it's kind of redundant in the A and B. If we just said the commission shall have the power and duty to research and investigate, communicate or educate, advocate, advise, fundraise
Big old worries.
on matters relating to arts and culture in San Diego County.
And we could keep the current bullets so we don't have to get in trouble, and we say including but not limited to, and then have those bullets in there, and then we're still fulfilling the mission of the
We have to keep
Commission.
A, B, C, D, E, F.
You do not.
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
take it.
that would be, it would be helpful to do that without, yeah.
Wait,
I
it
think
would be
it's-
helpful to keep it?
It would be helpful to keep that.
For me, the laundry list is helpful.
Yeah, it's,
I mean, it's there, and then,
We can see how the year goes.
yeah. Well, I don't think we're gonna not do any of these things. I think all these things would be inclusive of what we would do. In terms of additions to it, research and investigate, I'd like to get something in here specific to artists. Some wording that other groups have, recommend to the Board of Supervisors programs to support local artists, and arts organizations.
totally.
So I think, so maybe G.
And educators. Like,
Sure.
You
So for,
somehow, where did G go? Here we go. Oh, there we go.
yeah,
Yeah.
Sorry.
so maybe
Commission of the State of LA County's Arts Commission.
So, recommend the Board of Supervisors programs to support local artists, educators, and arts organizations.
Recommend programs and services to support
Programs, funding, and services.
programs, funding, and services to support individual artists and
Local-
cultural
yeah,
practitioners, maybe?
Yeah. Artists, cultural practitioners,
Mhm.
education.
What does that say? Artists, educators? What was the language in that one, Jay?
Cultural practitioners, and arts organizations.
There you
What are
go.
And arts
cultural
organizations.
practitioners?
What are they? People who work at they make art happen. So they could be, curators.
Right.
They could, because you're not necessarily making the art, but you are making the art happen. You could be, and arts organization.
So then, the other one I would, I'm just gonna add something, go back into, we can tweak, modify, and decide if it's redundant. The, cooperate with community organizations in the arts to encourage programs for the cultural enrichment and education of the county.
Right here, they say that's.
Yeah.
Sure. Cooperate with community organizations to encourage programs for cultural enrichment and education in the county.
Is
I'd
that
like us
so you
getting
can have
direct to organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a good one from LA. Advocate on behalf of public funds for arts activities in the county.
Yeah.
We don't have one, it's not already in here, right? No.
Okay, that may depending on how that gets read, that could run afoul of the piece about how this commission doesn't take positions on political.
What's
Right.
political about public funds?
Public funds are the most political thing sometimes.
Yeah.
Is it the word advocacy, advocate,
Right.
or the inclusion of public funds that makes it, would advise be better?
Right, that might be better.
Advise, and I'd say public funds and public funds for arts activities and public art. So
How-
activities and projects.
How about if it was, instead of public funds, if it was funds? Would that
Funding.
make it funding? Yeah.
Funding,
Funding.
yeah,
Um,
because you're right.
are we also talking about policy, though?
The,
Advise on policy and funding
Funding
for
and
arts
policy.
activities?
right,
I don't know, this public funds is pretty specific. It's really basically going after that pot of money.
right.
Yeah,
Which is,
I wouldn't put them together, policy with funding.
Yeah,
For that
I
reason.
think that's useful.
I mean, it's two different
Make a very
bullet points
direct
in my
statement.
brain.
Yeah, I think it's important for us at this point. So if you would you be comfortable, we said advise on behalf of public funds for arts activities in the county?
I like
If
that.
we just took away advocate and just said advise?
Sure.
Because I think this is an important
How about
statement.
encourage?
Promote.
I'm trying to promote, I'm trying to come up with some word that's stronger than advise, because
I like
advise,
advise.
Yeah.
Why is that not strong enough?
because I want to advocate for it, I want to
Because
push
you can-
for
you
it.
can
I
ignore
wanna
advice.
Address
But-
for it.
I
Not
think
that
part of the idea is that individual commissioners can do what they want, but the commission itself should not be getting involved in political decisions, which, to what extent public funding of arts or other funding sources of arts are a political decision, probably is going to be more of a case-by-case thing.
I actually like funding too, because we could also be advocating to, or coordinating with a endowment, a nonprofit, the federal government, the state. you know, I
Can we
think-
do that? So we have a state advocacy agency that's trying to get more money from the state that would filter down to our counties.
Mhm.
Can we ever, share that information? We don't have to take a position on a ballot measure, but we could say, hey, this ballot measure does this, this, and this. And we as a body could say, here's information about this ballot measure.
That's advisory.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I would take it a step further, though. I mean, if we were to go to Sacramento and speak to,
As a
California
body.
House Cats, council, that's
That-
still,
Again, it's
We
it's
could do it
already,
every.
the bill's already passed, the money's there, we're advocating on behalf of Why San Diego should get the money.
ultimately, it's a commission and advisory group.
It is
Yeah.
an advisory.
We had our-
group.
we're advisory.
That's the point of, I think, was it 3D?
So
Yeah.
that's why I'm not bothered, like, and I like, so I was looking at the LA County Arts Commission too, and just in their mission statement, like, two things that I thought, like, is providing leadership, and there's another statement that says it's an that kind of says it's an advisory group to the Board of Supervisors, with 3 appointees for each district, so in our case, it would be with 2 appointees for each district. But I like the leadership, and so that kind of is a strength, and I don't think that would come here, but I don't think advise is not,
So what are we advocating for? Because in our earlier language, we use the word advocate.
and that's fine,
So
and
we're,
that's.
I mean, that, to me, funding's the biggest one. I don't know anything bigger than we could
So I
advocate.
will
We're advocating for the points we made up there, and then we do it through the advising that we do, through the leadership, through the, and it can be like specific advocacy too, but the advocacy is for the overall, all the things we said about supporting, sustaining, arts and culture.
I see the fight for funding being the paramount.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Right,
Well-
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's-
it
but
really
that's
is,
still
it really
included.
is, it really is the board that's the one that advocates for,
So while this commission cannot advocate, the county has a legislative policy and agenda that we pass at the end of every calendar year, and there's a process that another unit, my department's responsible for, where there will be community engagement and things like that, so that if you feel that advocacy for funding for arts and culture is important, that would be the venue.
So
To
what is
add that
the
in.
name of that organization?
It's our strategy, and is it still strategy and
no,
executive?
it's economic development and government affairs.
It's
but
our
it's-
entire thing, but,
Yeah.
but
So
the
that-
document I'm
yeah.
talking about is our
the
legislative policy
legislative program.
program.
So what if we said, work cooperatively with that organization
Mhm.
to advocate?
So we just say
What
What if we say
cooperate?
advocate at the
That's-
county level
Okay.
for funds? Advocate
Well,
at the county
finish,
level.
let me finish
Oh,
this
yeah.
sentence here, because something we can do is coordinate with, county departments, right? So if we're to coordinate with county departments, then what is the most expansive thing you think we could use around funding?
How about regarding funding
Okay.
for arts and culture?
There you go.
And one of the things you might also consider doing, rather than having advocate for arts, and here might be in whenever this goes to recommend that the that the board amend the legislative program to include seeking funds for arts and culture.
Right, or seek it as a
When
legislative
it-
priority in the future.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay.
That would be how you do that, not
Okay.
in the bylaws, but that
Yeah.
way.
That,
I got it.
but that part in the J,
So did we add that?
We have to add it.
Yeah, so it's,
item J,
it's
not J,
coordinate
comma,
with, so it's coordinate with
county department.
departments regarding funding, okay, good.
Yeah, so we
Does
can
that become-
lose, we
does
can
that
lose
become K?
L.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
when we limit ourselves to funding, are we, losing the ability to advocate for other resources, like space or,
Facilities.
Funding and
facilities?
support.
Yeah.
No, I was just trying to make sure that,
Funding and support.
funding and resources or something
Yeah,
like
funding
that?
and
Yeah.
resources.
Yeah,
Okay.
in other words, yeah, county resources.
Funding and other resources,
Yeah.
funding is also.
Mhm.
Are we saying county funding and resources? Is that how you want to say it?
No,
Funding and
we're
other
working with the
resources.
county departments, which has control over these resources for arts and culture. I like that because it just leaves open the opportunity
And
to
Yep,
And
find.
that's useful.
Funding is big enough that
If
it
that's as
gets
far
to
as we can
be-
go,
should be
we're there.
mentioned, yeah.
Mhm.
So can I just say something about J?
Mhm.
What do you
This
mean?
is so my brain's not using. J, small j,
Okay.
with a
Small.
parentheses.
Yeah.
Um,
Bigger, that's.
it's something to keep in our brains, because I've been looking at other, ways of how we intersect on this matter of money. let us keep in mind that we want to investigate and ask Zhang as much as possible, who actually controls the purse strings on that thing, which could be spent on art?
The Board of Supervisors.
I know, but sometimes it's delegated, it might not be delegated to us.
It is not, it is,
It's delegated maybe to some, like, whoever builds buildings, or
And they may be
whoever
referring to
does-
the process by which funds
how do
can
we,
be.
right.
I think that is a
That's,
coordination issue.
yes, and we're gonna need some
On
help
what-
from you, darling.
What funding is
That's why we're
available.
coordinating with county
Right.
departments.
Yeah.
That's, it's covered there, but I'm spelling it out because my brain might not remember if I don't say it. Let's look into, could you help us look into,
Yeah, I think
does
think
this
that's part of
building
our work,
commission, or does this, that does have money,
that
and does allocate funds,
Learning how the process works.
should we be talking to them?
Well, I think one agenda item in a future meeting could be
Some of our.
what programs are available in the
Yeah,
county for the funding
Exactly,
of arts
thank
and
you,
art
that's a
programs.
really good idea.
I like that. Okay, does anyone have any additions to the roles and responsibilities?
Well, can we go up a little higher?
yes, and I will say K is still an incomplete.
Because, Article 3, the first statement of Article 3, oh, I'm sorry, so G is normal, but is this, the statement, Article 1, the commission delegates, yes, okay, here it is. Article 1, the commission delegates its authority to apply for and administer grants to commission staff. That is not, commission staff is not dialed out in our ordinance. Why is it here?
So there were concerns raised at a prior meeting about you all having to do the direct application for grants, and, some concerns about having to do that. And so a good workaround would be you all can advise and kind of look over what's going on with commission staff doing the actual applying.
But shouldn't it say the commission may delegate its authority? I thought that's what we said.
So is
This
it,
was at the last
Yeah.
meeting.
I don't know, I don't know if it was decided whether you're going to, whether you're not going to. Unless you want to be the ones responsible for applying for these grants.
Well,
Yeah.
do we want to eliminate the future of this commission taking on the issue of applying for a grant? I don't know that we want to do
So
that.
then we need
Well,
a
I
may.
think, yeah, because apply for and administer grants, and then we say that we delegate our authority to do that to commission staff. But if we were delegating, we would still be doing the recommending and the.
It does say that in the next sentence.
I don't know, I'm just saying,
You're right.
I think we should leave it open. If one of us wanted to apply for a grant.
I assume that practically everything on here involves your implementing it. That's my assumption, that anything here begins with us saying, oh, wouldn't it be a good idea? And then you're going to see if that's feasible to do. I didn't know why we needed to call that out, but it was just worded so directly like,
Right.
you're going to apply. So to me,
Right.
to fix it makes sense, but the rest of this, I assume that because we have an administrative support person, that you're going to, make things happen.
Fine, then take it out.
Take what out?
So don't say to county staff or commission staff. I would just say the commission delegates its authority to, well, you said may delegate.
Yeah, I like may
Yeah,
delegate.
I agree with that.
Also, it leaves us fluidity, like, I don't think anybody, from what I got at our last meeting, there were a lot of people concerned, for a number of reasons, about the initial wording, which is in black. However, going after private money, nobody seemed concerned about. And this allows us to still go after private money, except that we need to know what bucket does it go into, and staff can help us with that, but that doesn't have to be in the bylaws.
No, that's.
So if I go to somebody and say, I need $100,000 for, yeah, like that's ever gonna happen, but I need $100,000,
Oh, my God.
to be donated to.
I mean, if you're looking at G, do you really need the text in red?
The text, yeah,
That's what
I think we do.
I would not even have it.
Why not?
Well,
It's not
because
necessary.
it's implied that we're not applying, we're not signing on, because we're just not.
Okay, but the thing is,
What?
in black, that's what it says. That's what it says our duty is.
Right, but all of this,
And that's
all
the
of this, all of our duties, we do with the support of
Yes,
Right, exactly.
the staff.
like conduct public hearings.
I don't want somebody coming to me and saying, why aren't you applying for money? And, oh, now, 3 years later, who's taking care of that grant? We've got to administer that grant.
Is there a place where
There were
you
others
say
who were
that
concerned
the
about
staff
this.
supports the implementation of,
That you wouldn't need to put in, because staff is gonna support, it's simply, are you all gonna be the ones responsible for applying? Are you all going to be the ones
Yeah.
who
we
are
do need to.
But I do think, I mean,
responsible for administering,
Did
which
any other
is,
commissions
the
do
bigger
that,
thing.
like the commissioners actually get out that application?
There are none that I know of
Okay.
in the county,
That are doing that.
but it is our responsibility to decide as a commission
To
that
go
we are
after
going
it.
to go after a particular funding
Absolutely.
source.
Then let's say that.
I'm more concerned about what we're applying for, functions of the commission. We have not identified
Right.
what is needed for, what programs we have that need funding. I'd rather spell out what are those things that we would be applying for.
Well, some of the
Of course we have
stuff
to-
in A, B, C might require some funding.
Well,
Might.
we have to be
Well, it's
mindful.
for promoting
The county wants us to raise our own funds. That's what they're basically saying. They want us to raise our own funds. So what are we gonna fund?
Well, that's
Our
part of,
purpose.
our purpose and our mission. So anything that falls
Do you
within our
think
purpose
that
and
was the
mission.
intention of the supervisors? Y'all raise your own funds?
I don't think it was the intention of the supervisors to say you all have to raise your own funds, but I think they were looking at this as a way of
getting it started.
expanding funding for the arts where you can.
Through
Well,
our
you can.
work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Through our work.
it sounds to me like, but there's certain parts of this, as we've already recognized, that we just need to come back to after we've been existing for a little while. This is, it can take, I mean, I think in a way, like, I look at this and think, we'll sit down here a year from now and have a better idea of exactly like what needs to be funded. I think the first part is like recon, you know? I think we need to spend, one of the things we need to do is to map out the community.
Would it be better if it said functions and mission of the commission?
Yeah, functions is an
Our
odd word.
purpose.
So one point of order, we talked about ending the meeting at noon.
Yeah, I have a
Um,
meeting.
Our co-chair said she'd be open to continuing. Is anyone else restricted
I
and want
have to
to
get to
close
work.
the meeting at noon?
I do too.
Okay, well then let's, I would, unless there's specific conversation that we wanted to wrap up right now, is there?
We need another meeting.
Okay,
Right.
so what we'll do, I just didn't want to abruptly end the conversation, but we did say noon,
Yeah,
so.
let's come back to G.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
I would, let's talk about when our next meeting is.
Could you poll us, maybe?
Yeah, you mentioned possibly another Wednesday. I didn't know if you wanted as early as next week.
I am out of town next
I may not be here, funeral.
We have our,
And then the
Well,
21st is
We have our
our,
meeting, right?
Well,
Our
and
21st is
if
our
we don't make the 21st, we don't make the 21st.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
that's something to consider as well. So how about, we ask staff to,
I'll send you guys
circulate
a poll.
some
Yeah.
dates that
okay,
could work?
yeah, okay.
A poll, and we'll go from there, and we'll look for consensus on the next meeting. Is there any other business or conversation that anyone?
I'm not officially on the bylaws subcommittee, so should I just add myself, or can we add it at the next meeting?
We can be at the
Right.
next meeting, if that's
Okay.
Yeah.
something.
All right.
So we can make sure we agendize that at the next meeting, appreciate it. And then if we meet before the next meeting, we do, and if not, we can provide an update to the commission as a whole on, in general, what we're talking about, and then follow up, with the complete bylaws.
And you won't be at the next meeting.
I will not be at the
But I
next
will
meeting.
report out.
I think we've done great work here
I
today,
do
and
too.
we're taking the time that
We need,
this organization's gonna, this commission's gonna need for the future. So, with that, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Thank you
Exactly.
very much.
Thank you.
Woo, look at us.
So, we are, nonprofit, set up, picked up the,
Go and hop on a
contract for
Zoom
Alpha
here.
Oh, cool.
Yes, so my office
So I
is
got,
room one fifty-two downstairs,
Uh-huh.
and we have a
Jeremy's working on
conference
it,
room,
and,
just let our secretary know that I told you to take
When
your
are the,
conference room.
when are the student
Or
workshops?
even if you don't need
So we're
complete
about-
privacy,
I
my
know.
entire unit,
Uh-huh.
I'm the only
I
one
can
here
go
today.
way done. We're gonna get back
Yeah, so let me,
next
yeah,
year a little bit.
152, just let her know you can either
It got
be
approved
where
by
my unit is
commission,
or
it got
conference
approved by
room.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Let me just, okay.
It's interesting,
Thank
you know, the kids' history of Encinitas is like
Thank you.
McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? Like, they weren't going very far back.
No, they were.
So, you know, Jeremy had to work them
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
far back in order to,